My name is Reid Hoffman. I'm the CEO and co-founder of LinkedIn. I'm also on a few boards like Mozilla, Firefox, and Six Apart and blogging, and I do a lot of angel investing in the US.
Well, we want to thank you because having you is a really great honor.
Well, my pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, my pleasure.
You've been coming to talk about LinkedIn, about the evolution you're planning. Would you mind talking a little bit about what you plan for LinkedIn?
Sure, although I can only do it generally because we haven't done the press announcement yet. So next year, we're focusing a lot on international, most principally coming to Europe, and also growing usage, right? Getting a lot more features out there in terms of how people use their network. We've got currently about 8.5 million people in the network, about over 3 million of them in Europe already. And the goal is to make LinkedIn more essentially relevant to most people's lives on more of a weekly basis, because thus far we've been for some people we're weekly and daily, and for some people we are in a very occasional use, and the goal is to scale that next year.
Okay, well the idea is about translation and adoption, or?
Yeah. Translation, adoption, and new features in terms of how to benefit from having a network. I'll give you a mild example of something we did this year, which is we allowed you to make recommendations of different kind of service providers like attorneys or mechanics or web design consultants and that sort of thing. So people can add those recommendations into their profile so that when you're doing a search, you can find who the people you're connected to, who they've recommended. So for example, if you were looking for an attorney in London, you can say, okay, who have my connections recommended as attorneys in London? Who should I go do? And that's that's a very small usage feature as an instance.
And will we be able to know who is active and who is not?
More or less. I mean, actually most people on LinkedIn are responsive. Basically, over 98% of people on LinkedIn will respond to inquiries that they have responded to some inquiry or not that they've gotten, and so. Now, the active people who are using it actively themselves, you can usually tell that by the activity that they kind of direct your way, although there will be, by adding more usage features, it'll be more clear. We're not, in a sense, adding a feature that says, oh, this person active, this person inactive, but we're giving ways for people to be active, if that makes sense.
And I've heard we will be able to see, like in OpenBC, for instance, the feature where you can know who has gone through your profile?
Yeah, we'll have a specially designed version of that, but that's one of them, yes.
What is the percentage between those who are using it for free and those who have premium accounts? Well,
so LinkedIn's philosophy is that you have a robust free account. So, for example, in comparison to many other sites, we give you a very large set of functionality for free. When we actually charge a fair amount of money because it's for serious business usage. So the overall percentage is pretty small, but they actually pay us a lot of money because it's like if it's a recruiter or a hedge fund that's looking for experts or a person who's doing business development and is looking for ins to companies, all of those people are willing to pay a fair amount of money because they're using it for a serious business task. So the percentage is relatively small, but the average subscriber pays us about $300 a year.
The price you're selling those premium accounts is fairly expensive, isn't it?
Yes.
Will that change to have it more accessible to small companies? Because I mean, what I'm saying is that when you're going to Europe, you have a lot more small companies than large companies, and don't you fear that this amount could prevent people from going and use this feature?
Well, we have a lot of small companies that are using us already. From a business use, right, as opposed to a social use, I don't think that we're overpriced. So, for example, if all you were using LinkedIn as a way of kind of staying in touch with your former classmates, well, you don't need to pay for that, right? LinkedIn gives you that ability for free and that sort of thing. But if what you're doing is seriously recruiting or doing business development or finding experts, right, those sorts of things, which are very essential business tasks, then sort of paying $15 a month is not all that much money.
And we've been discussing about that yesterday. I understand you're going to improve a lot more the group functionalities. Is that right?
Absolutely. We already have over 5,000 groups, including a lot like INSEAD runs their business alumni through LinkedIn. IMD runs their business alumni through LinkedIn. A number of prominent American universities do. We're planning on extending that functionality to get many more universities, and in terms of corporate alumni, Sun's alumni, PeopleSoft's alumni. There's a bunch of corporate alumni that also use LinkedIn groups as their alumni groups, and we're going to expand the function. We have so many groups now. We're going to expand the function to make the features a lot more useful.
And I've been talking to a few Americans who said, well, the main difference between Europe and the US is that in Europe you are creating companies, while in the US we are consolidating services. What do you think about this?
Oh, I don't agree with that. I guess what I would say is there's a massive amount of investment in Silicon Valley. So you both have companies that are being created and consolidation. It's both. And what's more is you have a whole range of kind of light, small investments that are basically investments built into companies whose likely outcomes are being purchased by another company, and also major investments for building companies that are going to be independent and whatnot. What has been true for the last 2 years is because of a piece of legislation in the U.S. called the Sarbanes-Oxley, there have been a lot less tech companies going public. But I think what you'll see is that legislation will be rolled back some, and then the IPO market will continue in the U.S.
And we've been talking over the last 2 days about Web2, what's going on right now, a slight outlook on what will be tomorrow. What do you think will be the main trends?
Well, so I think that I think the consumer internet is just beginning. I think that there will be, while there's been a lot of in the last 3 years, and I think there will continue to be a development of new things that are entertaining, I think there will also be a development of new business and productivity applications. I think you'll see a phenomenon almost like there's Web 2.0, I think there'll be Enterprise 2.0, which will be applying some of these principles of business to how the enterprise works. It's not, a lot of times when people say, oh, Enterprise 2.0, they mean LAMP stack, which is Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. And that's not interesting. I mean, there's always new technology things, but it's actually like using wikis and blogs in the workplace as knowledge management, as CRM, expanding feature sets that are enhancing work productivity. I think that's one of the trends that you're going to see in the next couple of years.
This is exactly what we've been saying to the camera here, is that it's changing the pace of internet. What is changed is not so much the technology, but very much what is going to change into the way we work with each other. As the LinkedIn founder, you cannot say no, of course, but
yes.
But what it changes is that in the past we used to push information from the top to the bottom, and now this model has completely disappeared. Yeah. I mean, in this sphere, now it's just a question of time before it reaches the other companies, I think.
I totally agree.
And what do you think, what would you advise to companies? Because, I mean, this jump, because it's a real jump to take, companies are really frightened of taking this jump. What would you say?
Start experimenting. Start small, increment, try something, get familiar with it. Basically get involved and start experimenting with what works. To wait for a very, very big change is a problem, because you need to change kind of, as it were, the culture of interaction, the culture of collaboration. For example, if you say, well, one of the central reasons to use a wiki internally is a lot of times there's these email threads where people are building upon what each other is saying, where that's a very inefficient medium to getting a coherent communication. If instead you use a wiki page, which is multiple users writing the same page, you can have everyone collaborate and generate one kind of document at the end that's pretty valuable. And that sort of tool is, we'll start experimenting with the small groups, right? Start doing something like getting 5 people or 6 people using a wiki, seeing what it works like, seeing how, if it makes a difference, right? And that's the kind of thing that I would do with all of the new adoption of these new technologies for Enterprise 2.0 and Business 2.0 is like start a blog, see how it works for branding, try to do marketing with it, to start experimenting in some way, to start getting data and competence and the culture into the company, so that you can keep up with the internet.
So you would say start surely, but
Yep.
start rapidly
Yep.
and start progressively.
Exactly.
And now then, what would be the main advantages for a company to do this?
You don't want to become obsolete and you don't want to die.
Well, that's a good reason, I think. I thank you very much for being here with us, and we hope to catch with
Yes.
you later on.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.